Alright, so it is the summer of gaming. The Switch 2 is out, and we'll talk about that as well. But let's talk about one of my most anticipated games for next year, and that is going to be Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil Requiem. So this is one of my most anticipated games. Really loved playing Village a couple of years ago, and I think that they really found their groove after 7. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with this one, which is apparently taking us back to Outbreak, a game on the PlayStation 2. So we're going back with Resident Evil. So very excited about that aspect of it. But let's talk about it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell for all things you love in pop culture. Let's talk Resident Evil Requiem. So Requiem is going to be coming out in February of next year on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as Steam. And this is what it says. Resident Evil Requiem is the 9th title in the mainline Resident Evil series. Prepare to escape death in a heart-stopping experience that will chill you to your core. A new era of survival horror begins in 2026. Technological advancements combined with the development team's depth of experience combined in a story with rich characters and gameplay that's more immersive than ever before. Now, the main character in our story is going to be Grace Ashcroft, who is the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, a character in Outbreak. So we're taking it back. We're trying to piece it all together now, it seems, with Resident Evil, and I'm excited about that. So one of the things we learned as well today is that you can choose between playing first person or third person perspective, and it can be changed at any time in the game, which I think is great. I'm a fan of third person. Some people do like first person, but I like third person more, like Resident Evil 4. And I know I wasn't too happy with Village being a first person game, but that's just me. I really do love third person a lot. So the premise reads, FBI technical analyst Grace Ashcroft is dispatched to investigate a series of strange deaths at the hotel where her mother died 8 years prior. The story is set in Raccoon City after its destruction in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Do we get a Joe Valentine reference? We'll see. So I did get some screenshots for the game, and I wanted to go over them real quickly with y'all because some of them are so interesting as well. And so the game preview here starts off at the FBI headquarters, where we see the director going to go find Miss Grace Ashcroft. She currently is doing a summary report of some identified disease that is killing people. And as you can see here, it says a deceased individual was discovered at an abandoned government office. Preliminary analysis suggests we don't get much after that, but it seems that she really is trying to get to the bottom of what exactly is going on here, right? And so let's go over some more of what's going on. We do see that the director says that she will be having a case at that hotel, and we see her sort of get some PTSD of it. So I'm curious to see if we're going to get a back and forth between Alyssa's final moments in the hotel, because this is where she died, and also Grace at the hotel at the time. Now, one of the things that's going on at the hotel, from what I'm getting from the trailer, is that it seems that there's some experimentation going on, with even Grace at one point being chained to a table. We see these missing posters of who I believe could be experiments that were experimented on by our big bad right here, who I'm just going to say it, I think could be Oswald E. Spencer. And I'll talk about that in another video I'll do later this week for some theories. But Oswald E. Spencer is the founder of Umbrella Pharmaceuticals. So we definitely could be getting a big wraparound to the whole series, I believe. So let's get back to some of the pictures that we see here. So the crater right here, Raccoon City, completely devastated as well. The Raccoon City Police Department. It's a lot of callbacks, it seems, and I'm excited to see them try to like bring it all together and maybe full circle with this one. Resident Evil Outbreak was a game that came out in, I believe, the time of the PlayStation. I don't remember if it's 2003 or 2004, but we do have that game to base this off of, so I'm definitely going to try and revisit that game before Requiem comes out to try and get a little bit more of what's going on in this game. I do love our first look here, some of the bads right here, this monster coming out of the roof as well, and the hooded figure striking once again a man in a suit, which has me thinking he's going after corporation for some reason. We do get a first look at the zombie right here, infected, whatever you want to call them. It's always a big thing with zombie. The word zombie is just so, like, people get mad about it, but I'm just going to call it zombie. This shot right here is really interesting, one that really captivated me because I think something's about to happen to this woman right here. This is giving me the Exorcist 3 vibes, that nurse scene. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen that movie. We do get, of course, our title card as well. Now, Game Informer and other game-like sites did get a chance to apparently check out some more. And this is from Game Informer here. I'm going to be reading. Marcus Stewart wrote this. It says, Requiem stars Grace Ashcroft, a young FBI technical analyst and the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, an investigative reporter who last appeared in 2003's Resident Evil Outbreak. So he says, my gameplay demo begins after the conclusion of the reveal trailer. Grace, who has been mysteriously captured, awakens upside down, strapped to a bed, and understandably scared out of her mind. She manages to escape. Capcom tells me Grace has a little combat expertise, and my session features zero action. That means relying on my wits to survive the derelict Wrenwood Hotel, the site of Grace's mother's murder. So I thought that was interesting right there, that this is going to be more of a game where you're just trying to survive. You don't really fight as much, which has me have some Outlast vibes. If you've played Outlast, that's a game where you really don't fight that much. You're just trying to survive as much as you can. He writes, the game defaults to the now standard first-person perspective, but Requiem allows players to switch to third-person at any time by toggling an option in the pause menu. The fans have begged for the inclusion of a third-person mode in the mainline games at launch for years, so I'm happy to see Capcom oblige. I played the demo using both modes, and although Capcom labels the first-person perspective as the recommended experience, meaning that it's scarier, not that the gameplay is better. My time with Requiem proved terrifying regardless of the perspective. And like I said before, I love third person. I wasn't a fan of Village and 7 using the first person perspective, but it still worked enough for me. And I do think it gets a little bit scary with first person and it's just right in your face. Like you don't anticipate what's coming, right? Opening the first door gives way to an impressively pitch black hallway. It almost feels mean-spirited to tell players this is what they must walk right into off the bat. Creaks and bumps amplify the tension, and it's tough to gauge what's merely the sound of a rickety old building or a sign that Grace is not alone. This is where the game feels most like Resident Evil 7, as I bump around in the dark spaces searching for open doors, every step producing a heart-stopping creak as I fear alerting what may be lurking. Despite being labeled a hotel, Wrenwood seems more like some kind of clinic. Several rooms have hospital beds, and I find remnants of medical staff such as messages, and more horrifying, the bodies of doctors. I don't know what the purpose of this place once served, and the more I explore, the more I begin to believe the answer probably isn't positive. So, like I said, I think that there definitely is some experimentation that is going to be going on here. It seems that this character that is sort of the big bad is more of a person trying to find something, even at one point in the trailer calling Grace like the special one, or that she has some sort of like ability that he wants from her. So I think that that's interesting right there. It could definitely be tied to her mother being Alyssa Ashcroft, maybe discovering something during Outbreak as well. Like I said, I haven't played Outbreak. I was going to read up about it, but I definitely would want to play it instead. So the writer here continues to talk about how the game then slips into the classic Resident Evil formula as they need to find a key. So once you finish this puzzle, it says that the door opens and a dead body falls onto you. The very first jump scare here, which, as I said, Outlast vibes, isn't it? Outlast vibes. Apparently the corpse is wearing a doctor's lab coat, but before you can even check to see if this is somebody who is infected or not, a large hand comes through and takes the body and pretty much chomps on it. So this is where we see our first big bad, it seems, and apparently this is a humanoid hag-like creature sporting stringy gray hair, a bulbous eye, and a tattered rag masquerading as clothing. So apparently you're not entirely sure if this is a former patient or what could it be, but apparently it's so huge that it barely fits in the room, and as you run for life, this beast starts to pursue you through the narrow corridors. It can even grab you and take a bite, and then you have to quick heal as well. According to the reviewer, this is sort of like a persistent enemy that apparently could be following you throughout the game, like Mr. X or the lady in Resident Evil Village. So this whole sequence continues on throughout the game as you try to evade this threat, even at one point crashing through a wall like Jack Baker in Resident Evil 7. The reviewer says this is more like Resident Evil Village's horrifying dollhouse section, which I tell you is one of the most startling things I've ever played. But this is where the demo ends and you don't get to see much more. So I'm very excited to see more Resident Evil Requiem. So I'm ready for a demo to drop hopefully this year, and we can definitely play it here on the channel. But let me know what you think about Resident Evil Requiem. What do you think the story will be? Like I said, I do have my theory video I'm going to be doing. I'm just gathering all of the info I can on Oswald E. Spencer being the big bad here and making this game full like circle with the rest of the Resident Evil games. So stay tuned for that video in the next couple of weeks or so. But as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions. We'll talk about the new Silent Hill game as well later this week. So stay tuned for that. And we do get some reviews on The Life of Chuck coming out. This movie is releasing this week. We do have the new 28 Years Later as well. So a lot of videos on the way. As always, I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.